And if we never move it, it becomes physical disease. And the ability that we have to use the elements, to use the energies, to move the baggage out and completely change your reality. Like, Mike, we started in February, and your life is drastically beyond different. It's so cool. You're one of, obviously you're one of my favorite people. And also just like you have such a deep space in my heart as a client, because you ran with it and you're like, watch me go. And I'm like, that's why I'm teaching.
Welcome to the Shadow Mike podcast and YouTube channel, which aims to provide you with language, tools, and guidance in your journey towards personal and relational wholeness. We'll discuss topics ranging from psychology, spirituality, leadership, sexuality, and more. My name is Michael, and I'll be your guide for stimulating musings and host for insightful interviews with thought leaders, practitioners, and experts who have a thing or two to share about living an integrated and meaning-making life. Whether you're looking to deepen your connection with your interior world, overcome challenges in your relationships, or expand your psychosomatic horizons with fresh perspectives and paradigms, the Shadow Mike podcast and YouTube channel offers a safe, playful, yet challenging space for dialogue and introspection. It is all a gift, so let's go enjoy it together. Welcome back to the Shadow Mike podcast and YouTube channel. I have with me, I don't even know how to describe Lisset. Lisset she is an emotional ninja. She knows that about herself. My experience of her is that she's like my own personal witch. And to be honest, I maybe you think, if you've listened or watched for a while or read things I've written, you might think Lisset is my imaginary guide. And I can't say that would be wrong. It's she lives in the in-between. She lives in the real world and the world that is being created. And I can't express enough, Lisset, I'll just say this to you personally so everyone hears it. Like, I cannot express to you enough the ways that your work and your life and the way that you have illuminated my path, like how it's changed the trajectory of my life. It is truly an honor to know you, and just a specific honor to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. I am soaking that in for a moment. It has been such a deep pleasure and honor to know you. From the moment I met you, it was like soul fam. I remember having this recognition at the Energy Exchange, and I saw you, and it was just like, it was like static, there was static on the line, and I felt the soul family, the like, hey, do you remember when we hung out in the light and we decided we'd go down there and like help each other expand? That's how I feel about you, and the way you've taken the work and run with it, and the amount of people that you've introduced to Huna and to working with me. The gratitude goes so deep. I could spend the whole hour talking about that, but I'll just start there.
Yeah, when there are certain people that you just have a frequency with, and it's kind of hard. You can't really explain it rationally, but when it's there, it's just there, and it flows so effortlessly. And if you listened to the last episode with Goddess Brittany King, Lisset is her wife, and they are in tandem changing the world. I mentioned in there that there is literally a icon that I've had in my apartment, in my life for years. And it was upon meeting Lisset and Brittany that I realized, oh my God, this icon that has these three queer women in the painting, two of those women are literally in my life right now. Mm-hmm. Truly, truly amazing, like to see it unfold in 3D and to be changing the world together in our different corners of the universe. And what a gift. Lisset, this idea of being an emotional ninja, you facilitate Huna workshops. Maybe talk a bit about what you do at the highest level, who you are, and how you bring that into this transformational work.
Yeah, so thank you for asking. I go with the title Emotional Ninja because what I do is so complex. Like it's it's a culmination of all the work I've ever done. You know, I've been in coaching since 2008, so math, like 17 years to some degree. And then in 2013, I discovered Neuro-Linguistic programming for the first time. And funny story, I discovered it and I was like, okay, wait a second. For the first time, I realized that it is just programming. And I was like, if I can... My wife calls me an engineer of the mind. She goes, and I was like, if I could just change this wire here and put this picture here, I can go there. And I actually, one of my claims to fame is that I used NLP to win The Price is Right. And I won the whole
true
game
story.
show.
This is an actual true story.
Yeah, I'm not, I have the car that I won because I won the whole show. I won the Showcase Showdown. And one of the things was my ability to hold an image, to hold a picture, to hold and know that that's where I was going no matter what, and letting everything that happened in life be of service to that. So Neuro-Linguistic programming was incredibly powerful to me because for the first time ever, I was aware of my baggage. I was highly aware of my baggage. I was an expert in my baggage. I could tell people, like, well, you know why I'm an asshole? Because, well, my my parents weren't really around, and abuse and sexual abuse and alcoholism. Like, I had my excuses. I had my reasons, but I wasn't getting the results I wanted. And when I discovered NLP and later down the route, Huna, I discovered that I'm so much more than this mind even. I am this spirit and I walk between worlds. And what Huna gave me was the ability to tap into the all that is and plug into it. Plug into it like we plug our computer into the wall. And what used to tank me out energetically in serving people, when I was able to tap into universal wisdom, universal energy, I found that I could serve like nonstop. Do I sleep and eat? Yes, 100%. Like a normal person. I love sleep and I love food. So
you
now
are one of the best at sleeping and eating and celebrating and traveling that I've ever known, frankly.
Thank you. I love being human. I love the human parts of being human. I love falling in love. I love eating and all those things. And when I was able to get that tap into Ho'omana, this universal energy, the energy became limitless. And at my age, I'm 43, and a lot of people just don't even assume that that's how young I am. And I'm like, thank you very much. It's Huna, it's energy work. I'm not tired, I'm not tired unless I do things that are not of the highest frequency. And then when I notice is when I am tired, that's not where my light is shining. And so becoming an emotional ninja was bringing all of this together and serving it up to people in a breakthrough session. You've experienced what that's like to be able to sit with someone and be the engineer of their mind and see where the programming is leading to the same thing, like I have been broke my entire life and I just don't feel like I'll ever be rich, and things like that. And I'm just like, oh, I never make it wrong. I'm like, that's fascinating. I see why your reality reflects that. Or, oh, I'm never going to fall in love. I'm like, well, yeah, not with that attitude,
Yeah.
and with such a loving, compassionate heart. I never make them wrong. And I get excited. When someone brings baggage to me, I'm like, whoa, that's incredible. I've heard some of the worst things that could ever happen to a human. Like, by no means, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And I've had clients bring that to me. And still I can go and you can heal. And I know you can get to the other side. And it's about empowering you, the client, to know that you're the healer, that you're the medicine you need. I'm just here to hold up the mirror with love and light and move the energy that might be stuck.
There's a million places to go here. I mean, you mentioned the money piece, holding an image. I would love to share. We had talked before we started recording about me just sharing my journey in working with you and how it's changed my life. Before we go into that, can you just kind of orient us around Huna and like high level for many of my listeners? Very spiritual people, sometimes coming out of high control religion or maybe medium control religion. It's kind of like hair gel. You've got high hold or, you've got medium hold. Sometimes we have medium hold, which is like worst because it feels like, oh, it's like not so bad.
Yeah.
It's internal. Anyway, I like Huna it resonated so deeply with me, but for some it may be like, that's so otherworldly. Can you orient us to that lineage, that stream?
Yes. So ho'omana, which is what it actually is, the word ho'o is to make, and mana is energy. And when you put those words together, there's not really a definition. The closest you can get to English is empowerment. And empowerment through being able to tap the all that is. And we belong to, I say we because when you've been initiated, you too belong to this lineage. And it's 120 generations unbroken. It's been the wisdom has been passed down intact from person to person, from family to family, over and over and over again. And I feel really blessed to be in the school that I'm in, where my teacher got the permission from, the Daddy Bray and the people in the lineage to pass this on. And what it is it's elemental. It's working with the elements, like all that we are, everything we're made of, air, water, fire, earth, Keave, energy, the ether, all of that, and just knowing that we're made of it, and how do we interact with it in a way that's empowering. And so bringing the power back to, you are it. You're one with source. Like, you are not an accident. You are made of this cosmic stardust. And oftentimes, I was really blessed to not really have indoctrination or religion shoved down my throat for reasons that we talked when you were on my podcast. And yet I was always seeking a spiritual home. And I found a few, I always see everyone as teachers. Like, I love Jesus, the teacher. I love Buddha, the teacher. I love all these teachers that I deeply respect. And all I have is I have a teacher. And my path, my mission is to be a teacher on this path. And that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing it locally here in Portland. And it feels like such a deep honor to pass on this wisdom, because it's the wisdom that's intact. Before Hawaii got colonized, when they first discovered them, they found a people devoid of disease. And they asked them, what is it that you practice? What do you believe in? And what was told to them was, that's Huna. And of course, as we do, we're like, we have to label it, and it's called Huna.
It's Huna.
And it's like, literally what they meant was, that is hidden wisdom. That's not for you. And to be able to be part of this lineage where I get to share it, keep it intact, treat it in its beautiful, most potent form. I get to teach on the Big Island. There's 2 classes that happen March and September every year. And I do 4 intros locally here in Portland. And I get to teach on the Big Island, which is so fucking profound. And one of the things that really I was brought to tears was how many actual Hawaiian people were in my class the last time I taught. And I was like, oh my God, I'm giving the wisdom back. The wisdom that was hidden and had to go underground when the missionaries went there and were trying to do away with anything that wasn't Christianity,
I'll just share, this work has so much medicine in it, because it is so deeply, so profoundly spiritual, and it's deeper, wider, higher, more all-encompassing than the containers of religion that tried to kind of focus Jesus or the Buddha or into these caricatures. This is far more expansive. You mentioned it's elemental, so the dichotomy of the spiritual and the physical you get a better dichotomy, which we talk about in Huna, right? Like, you now have this world that is multidimensional, but with earth, fire, wind, water, spirit, and that is the physical. So if the physical is also connected to these elements, it becomes spiritual, and there's this flow that happens. When that flow is possible, you step out of this war within yourself. You step out of the void of disease that the colonizers witnessed was like, oh yeah, that's what happens when like your God image isn't at war within itself. Mm-hmm. And I'll just say this, my experience is that it elevated all the ways that I was still at war with myself, because my essential creator image was at war with itself. And I've been able to free all of those trappings in order to step into this more authentic, organic, divine image that is both me and other and not other and yet me. And it's just, there's an alignment, there's a harmony that I tell you, I could not make it make sense in the old framework. I had to step out of it. So it's magic stuff.
And it's magic. At its purest form, magic with a K, like real magic. Like being able to do miracles, honestly. To the ability that we have, and you've sat through this, to take a limiting belief that you thought was so true in your life. Your life was like reflecting to you that truth, whether that's I'm not enough, or I'll never be enough, or I'm unworthy, or I'm unlovable, whatever it is. And then we can actually move it through energy. And, we call it baggage. The Hawaiians referred to it as the black bags. They're like, it was these emotional spots where, like, the first time something negative happened, it's like one little pebble, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And where does it live but in the infinite space inside of us? And if we never move it, it becomes physical disease. And the ability that we have to use the elements, to use the energies, to move the baggage out and completely change your reality. Like, Mike, we started in February, and your life is drastically beyond different. It's so cool. You're one of, obviously you're one of my favorite people. And also just like you have such a deep space in my heart as a client, because you ran with it and you're like, watch me go. And I'm like, that's why I'm teaching.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the Michael Jordan meme from the Last Dance documentary from a few years ago, where like someone told me something and I took that personally, and like you can change your life by changing your beliefs. And I was like, all right, I'm taking that personally, and we're going to absolutely run that into the absolute earth and sky. I mean, like, it's going all the way in, all the way up. And I like it, the shifts that I've experienced, not just in one area of my life, but it's like through the door for me of money. I have stepped into a healing trajectory around love, acceptance, worth, value, and that impacts how I show up as a dad, how I show up as a partner, how I show up in my work. And it's there. I can't tell you like, oh, that's the thing that is different. It's almost like it's atmospheric. You're talking about healing the climate internally. Yes. Because once the climate is healed, it will just do what it does, which is continue to create abundance and health all around. And like, I think that if you are a emotional ninja, but you are literally a meteorologist of the soul, but you also have the power to change the weather. So what is that? That's Jesus.
I love that. Well, all those things we do, you can also. I think that was the messaging, and that's the messaging in this work, is that we can change the weather inside. Like, you bring the weather to your life, and how can you see it from a different perspective? If your unconscious mind is the projector, your life is the film. Your life is the movie. And it's like, what are you writing? Is it a horror? Is it a rom-com? Is it a disaster film? And if I can tell anyone something that, like, run with this, like, take this personally, is like, don't believe everything that you think. Do not. Question it. Go, if you're like, oh, I'm bad with money, why? Why are you saying that? If every word was a spell, I love that you call me a witch. I resisted that title for so long. If every word is a spell, you would be so careful with what you said. And that's something that we're taught. We're taught deeply. Every word you say is a manifestation. In the word there is life, in the word there is death. There's power in that. And so bring so much consciousness and grace to what you say about others, and what you quietly say about yourself. Your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind is eavesdropping on everything you say, externally and internally.
Oh, can you... I talk about this quite a bit, and I think it's been one of the more helpful elements and foundational elements within the Huna work is the three selves. Can you give an overview of that? I love the ant. I think the ant and the elephant image is so potent because it's like, oh yeah, that's wild. That's actually, people are like, oh my God, that's what I'm doing. So like, can you share a bit about that framework and orient us to conscious mind, unconscious mind, higher self?
Absolutely. So usually I draw a little snowman, like a 3 circles, right? And we have our higher self, which is the part of you that's connected to everything. It is the part of you that's connected to universal wisdom. It is the all, the I, the ultimate, the parental loving spirit. The higher self doesn't care what you do. You could spend 20 years in jail and it's like, all right, this is what we needed, I guess, like it has no judgment on what it is that you're doing. And it will whisper to you, hey, go talk to that person. You go to that class. Get out of that relationship. It'll whisper to you, but it's not going to tell you what to do. It has no judgments on what you do. And then we have our conscious mind who thinks it's running the ship. Right? It thinks it's running the show. And I like to refer to the conscious mind as the ant. It's diligent. It is focused. It is like, I'm going to carry this big ass leaf over that tree. Like, and it just goes and it goes and it's marching. And it's like, this is the year I'm going to make more money than ever. This is the year that I'm going to fall in love. This is the year that I'm going to get healthy. And it's marching, but it's marching on the back of an elephant. And the elephant is your unconscious mind. And if your elephant, this all-powerful being that can do anything, is afraid, you're not going anywhere. It's going in that direction. Your ant's trying to go left, but it's going right, And the thing about the elephant, the unconscious mind, there's a few things that are just so potent about it, is that it keeps you alive. Blessings. It keeps you alive. Like, yay. We wouldn't be having this conversation if your unconscious mind wasn't working properly. And it makes you right about that which you believe at the deepest level. And so here we are. How they train elephants in the circus is you take a little elephant and you put a rope around its neck. And then you tie it to a stake in the ground. And so they'll fight and they'll fight and then until they have learned helplessness. And then they realize, if there's a rope around my neck, I can't go anywhere. And now you have this beautiful, magical, majestic beast that's like 2 tons, and you can put a rope around its neck and put it over a table, and it's not going to go anywhere. And that's us. What's the rope around your neck? Is the rope around your neck original sin? Is the rope around your neck that I'll never be good enough? That money is for those people, or money is for evil people, it's like, pick it. And it's like, or, other people fall in love, but not me, and that rope around your neck, I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy. That's what we work on. That's what we do in our work. And that's why I'm an emotional ninja, because I go, oh, there's that rope clip. And then someone goes, wait a second, that's not actually true. I'm like, no. If it were actually true, it'd have to be true for everyone. Yeah. Oof. There's few laws affect everybody, and law of gravity, sure. And we figured out how to find our way around that one. But that you have to be broke or you have to be poor, a lot of that stuff is taught to us. It was a gift from my scarcity consciousness was a gift from my mother and my father. And I held on to it for a very long time until someone said, hey, you don't have to believe that. And I was like, wait a second, what? Excuse me, who?
But I love that you say, it's like this, but it's my mother's.
It's my precious.
Like, yeah. It's my precious.
My grandma gave me this.
Yes.
Like you hold on to these beliefs, and we fight for them for our lives. And I love what you said about religion being this hold, this gel hold. Some have really super strong. If the hold is so strong that anything that's not this is that, is anything that's not God is the devil, then fuck, like that's the dichotomy. You're living in such a sharp contrast. Talk about shadow, where everything that's not this is that. So you can't even look at a different opportunity. And everyone's taught it differently. Everyone's taught it differently.
Yeah, and it's well, first of all, I just want to make this like religion. Literally, the etymology is to bind or hold together. Is the etymology of that word, and that is really helpful for talk about like your unconscious mind keeping you safe and making you right. Like in the first half of life, there is this need to create binding connections that keep you safe and get your needs met and help you move forward. And then there is this initiation that life will pull you through, draw you into, and then it's that moment that your soul requires to bust out of the bindings. And everyone, this is archetypal, so there's no one that this doesn't happen to. This is a law. I don't know if there's a Huna law around initiation, but everyone is drawn. I mean, the law of attraction, the law of was it cause and effect? Is that one of them? Right? Like when you push something down so far, the effect of that is that it will shoot up to the extent that it was repressed, and that you can either go willingly or unwillingly, and like it will come out somehow. If it comes out in a way that you let it surface and you work with it and you get curious about it, then it becomes a power. It becomes something that empowers you to create your reality. But if you don't, like, and you do that over and over, it will create your reality. I mean, this is Jung, Jung's quote around, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our life and we will call it fate. The thing that we've pushed away ends up dictating the life that we live. And I mean, this work that you're doing is helping people to tap into the divine within that they were always told was other than them, but is actually deeply connected to who they are. Yeah. I just want to make this note too, that like to give a little bit of a parallel, this higher self, conscious mind, unconscious mind may sound a bit out of the box for someone who's been raised in Christianity, but let me just say, like, that is the Orthodox God image. The higher self is the Holy Spirit. He's like whispering to you to go do this, that, and the other, right? Like the conscious mind is the Christ figure, the one that pulls the vastness of the unconscious into a lived form. And then the father image, if you will, the parent, the creating force of the unconscious is rising up, and it has to be incarnated into the physical world. But like, so when you think about these three selves, this is our God image in an Orthodox Christian sense. It's just that it got externalized, and because when it gets externalized, then and then it gets moralized. So it gets externalized and then moralized, and then suddenly you start wrapping your authentic life around an external thing that is not really living anymore. So what I see your work as doing is actually bringing the God image home into the lived present day experience. And that's why I think this is medicine for people who've come out of Christian spaces in particular, because everything that you were taught is a half-truth. It's true in that it is a framework. It's something, but it's in you. It's not outside of you.
You bring up a really good point. Why, when I'm at Huna, and I'm so excited for you to go to Hawaii. Let's go kick it in Hawaii. It's happening. I know. It's not an if, it's when. Yes. And is that there's people of all walks of life with so many different beliefs and different political, like it transcends it. And one of the things is when we find similarities rather than differences create fights. We can get into semantics all day long, and we can you get stuck on your word, or we can look for the similarities. And there's so many similarities. What hit me when I started to dive into this work is, the truth by the way it feels. And there was a resonance with it. I was like, this just makes sense. And it's Hawaiian words, so I can roll with it. Like, fuck it, let's go. I had no energy, no attachment to the words. I was like, it just made sense. It just made sense. They had the word for unconscious mind, unihipili. They had it way before Carl Jung ever had these studies. This has been passed on for generations. So, the more science advances, the more spiritual it becomes. This it just felt so right. And one of the things that I love about it is that you get to play in this playground, and you've been through the initiation where you get to play with these energies. And they're the energies that are all there already, and yet you get to bring them into your life. You get to feel them. They're malleable. I asked my wife I was like, hey, will you ground me before my podcast with Mike? And she filled me with some of these energies, and I could feel things opening up in my throat and my mind. And, just for the sole purpose of spirit, source, God, use me, speak through me, say what needs to be said, that someone, if one person gets touched by our conversation, this conversation was worth having. And that's the intention I bring. But I could feel, you get to play with these energies and feel them in such a way. There's no separation. You don't have to go talk to a guy behind a screen to get your access to God. Like, it's here, It's Wi-Fi, and people are tapping into phone lines. People are using dial-up, bro. It's already here.
God, yeah. It's for me, it was moving from a cheap rechargeable battery to realizing I was solar powered. Like, I always had access to this. I didn't have to find a location to then plug in and make sure it was the right prong, connection. Like, I quite literally, this idea that now is the moment of power, which is part of the teaching there is, now is the moment where I can step into that empowerment. I don't have to wait. There's nothing I need. I don't need to make a sacrifice. I don't need to, have this kind of time of penance where I act kind of humble. No. Like, step into your power now, regardless of where you're at. Just move back into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then that's my ultimate vision is it's just unplugging people from the Matrix, the Matrix touched me so deeply when I first saw it for so many reasons. It was the dopest movie that ever was, right? There's one of my claims to fame is my brother got to work on the Matrix, and he actually helped build the bullet time rig. Like, he's in the making of, and it's really cool. But what was really cool, he would let me read scripts, and he brought home a script, and I got to and I was like, you're making this? Like, I lost my shit, from this perspective of whoa, I was, I don't know, 13 when I read it. I was very young when I read that script, and I was like, the script unlocked me. And then to watch it, the truth by the way it feels. And I just felt this, I felt the sleepiness of my life. I felt the mundane, the Mr. Anderson, I was walking through life and I'm like, why am I listening to you? What, this person, your life sucks, and somehow you're an authority over me. How does this work? You're miserable, and yet you're trying to tell me how to have a relationship. Get the fuck out of here. And so nothing ever really made sense. And I feel like when I think of the work that I, with Neuro-Linguistic programming with Huna, it was I was asleep at my computer and someone said, wake up. It was that moment, and I followed the white rabbit, and now it's I feel very much like it's my job to unplug other people.
Wow. I just need to, I've never heard that story. But I just need to share, I haven't thought about this in forever, Lisette, but I was in a theology class in college that I would say was the most transgressive theology class I've ever been in. I mean, it was a conservative school, but this professor had a death wish and quite literally used the Matrix. Like, I want to say his assignment to us was to go watch like the whole all three movies. Wasn't it 3 movies? 3 movies?
Yeah, it was 3 movies at the time, yeah.
And it was the first time that I had ever considered that there was a reality beneath the reality. There was a reality above the reality, that the reality I was experiencing, these weren't my words back then, but this, that there was something I was experiencing that was just an echo of something far greater, something that was just something else beyond. I think it's funny because I think the lesson that he was wanting to create was around like the Matrix is stepping into following Christ to some degree. But like, if I bring that to now, then yes, like also yes, the Matrix, you step out of the Matrix by stepping into the invitation, the Christ invitation to live your life, to command the wind and the waves in your own life, to heal the sick, to raise the dead within and around. And that becomes the pathway towards, the divine life that I think we're all in and have access to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like heaven's already here. It's already here. There's a really interesting thing. I forgot when exactly I discovered the meaning of my name, and it was, I don't know, it was an assignment from some class I was in, and they were like, search your name, what does it mean? And it actually, my Lisset has Hebrew origins, and what it stands for is God's promise. And I was like, God's promise, what does that even mean? And then, you get a message, and then years later, like another dot connects. And I forgot what it was. It might have been after watching The Passion of the Christ. I was like, man, yeah, I watched Passion of the Christ, and I was like, first of all, bro. It was deep and it was heavy, and I felt the resonance of what it means to give on that level, the sacrifice that was made, right? And I was like, let me crack the Bible, literally, just let me crack the Bible open. And I asked a friend for a Bible. First thing I read is God's promise that heaven is on earth. And I closed the book. I was like, that's all I needed.
Read it. Have you read the Bible? Yep.
Read it. Yep. Got the answer I needed. And it's so funny because, it's like, in no way do I consider myself, I'm spiritual. And I have, religion and we've been separate, being a queer woman and all the things that I just haven't felt at home there. And yet there's always so much deep wisdom. And that felt the truest truth, like God's promise that heaven is on earth. And that's my truth. Like, I am so happy. Like, I'm a very happy person, and I get sad and I get angry and I feel the dynamic, delicious buffet that is being a human and the emotions that we get to explore. Like, I get to have all of it, and I relish it. I'm like, man, I came down, and I think I don't know if you've heard this conversation, but Brittany and I laugh about, I know I was just chilling in the light, being the light. And I was like, yo, let's go down to earth. I heard the food's good, I heard the food's good. Let's go, and I've heard about love. Like, heard you get to experience it differently. Let's fucking go see. And, and we joke about this conversation we had, and that like, we're hanging out at the gate, and it's just like, okay, well, here's the list of things you need to go through. You're going to get raped, and there's going to be child molestation. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Pizza. I'm going for the pizza.
Yeah, going for the pizza.
I'm going for the pizza, and I heard there's orgasms, And like, I didn't care about any of the other stuff. In the moment, while those terrible things are happening in my life, they felt so real. They felt so real and painful. It's not to say any of those things, like, they are part of my story. 100%. And I think where the miracle truly comes through is I got on the other side of it, and I'm actually in a place of gratitude. I was like, man, if that would not have happened to me, I wouldn't be able to serve the people that I serve. I don't advertise for, what is it? Sexual trauma or any sort of thing like that. I don't, never have, never, maybe people are hearing it for the first time. Like, I don't advertise for that. But the amount of clients I've had that have said, oh my God, I've never said this before. Or, oh my God, I've never looked at this. I've never touched this before. I hear that almost on every session, something along those lines of, I've never said this before. I've never been able to express this. And I get to be the mirror that goes, and it doesn't matter, and you can be happy too, and you will be happy, and you will, and this part of you deserves love, and it's just this, to be able to do that feels like, man, I've just seen it time and time again, someone who doesn't think they can fall in love, finding the love of their life and being like, oh my God, I didn't even know this was possible. Those are miracles, modern day miracles.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, I would love to share a little bit about the miracles in my life from your work and our work together. And if, feel free to ask more, highlight something that stands out, because to me I'm very much still in the, there is a particular process that I'm in that has all these different chapters, but maybe I'm even in different books, but I'm in the same series. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's there's a lot healing very quickly, a lot changing very quickly. And so I'll just say, if I go back to, it was December that my co-parent, we had just gotten divorced amicably, and we were moving into a home with her then partner, now wife. And we had kind of created this 3-parent dynamic. It was not a good situation. I met you at kind of this apex of, I need to find my own place, but limiting belief number 1, I don't have any money. I will never have any money.
Yes.
Limiting belief 2, I'm a bad person if I fail at this. I don't know if I would have brought that one forward, but there was something, if I leave, I'm failing. And another one was that, I don't want to live alone. I'm afraid of loneliness. I'm a double Scorpio, so that feels like making a triple Scorpio situation for myself. And I was like, I'm already kind of an anglerfish living at the bottom of the ocean. What else? How deep can I go? But I think it was just there was so much belief that this would result in the worst case scenario for me. I meet you. I remember we were in a group dinner, kind of hanging out, and at the end you said, "Hey, would you want to? I have this workshop." I think it was that weekend.
Yeah.
It was right there, and you were like, "It's $600," and you're like, ask for what you need, reach into your community, and I did. And at that time, $600 felt unreachable. I'm going to go spend $600 on a tattoo probably next week, because that's how much, that's the transformation. I did not feel like it was possible, but I reached in, asked my community. They responded with over $700 within 12 hours. I go to Huna, and that began, what I didn't know at that time was that money was a symbol, an amplification of what I really believed about myself at the deepest level when it came to my value, my worth, and my ability to love and be loved. What I believed about money was just a representation of all that. And so entering in through the doorway of money was like going in the back door, because the front door would have been too obvious. The front door was locked up. I had to, like Harry and Marv and Home Alone, I'm going in the back door, you know what I mean? And I didn't have a Macaulay Culkin that had already tarred up the floor. So I just stepped in to it, and it has been some of the most terrifying, truly terrifying, exhilarating, adventurous, breathtaking times of my life to see in 3D something that I felt was unreachable become my new foundation. I used to reach on top of the fridge for the cookie jar. And now what I'm reaching for is the thing that I'm standing on. I'm reaching to higher things than I ever thought possible because it's like my foundation has shifted.
Yes. Yes. Or you realize that you can bake your own cookies, you know?
I'm not dependent on someone else providing the cookies. Yes.
Literally,
exactly.
you realize that you can bake your own cookies. And I think that's the miracle that is so profound, because if I can share, I remember you feeling like you could never get out of that house. You were so stuck. And I had a moment where I looked at Brittany and I was just like, you should come to my class. Like we were having a secret telepathic conversation. She's like, yeah, you should invite him to your class. Because it was just like, oh, he's just stuck in his beliefs. He's just stuck in his BS, his belief systems. Like, we just need to, like, these are not the droids you're looking for. There is no spoon, bro. Like, it's totally fine. You're the one that needs, the moment you had your belief in yourself. And I think that's the juice and the meat of my work, is you realize, oh, I've been looking at life through this lens. I've been looking at life through this belief, and no, thank you. Rewire. Oh, actually, we're going to see life as abundant. And we're going to see, I remember I gave you the practice of like, thank you, more please.
Yes. Yes. Do me share about that? Like,
yes, please.
You kept reflecting back like, hey, this is a moment, like just feel into that gratitude, and in the first like few times I tried to do that, every time I was like, something was locking up inside of me, because gratitude had been tied to the limiting beliefs. So if I was always told to be grateful or to say thank you in response to getting basically a bare minimum. Mm-hmm. So saying thank you was basically a way for me to have to satiate some external expectation that like what I'm giving you isn't that much, but you should be grateful. You should say thank you. When you shifted this, you started talking about it as like, thank you, more please. That was the first step, was like, well, that's just a different planet situation there for me. I don't even know where to start. Yeah. But then it dawned on me that, like, as a dad, when my kids really enjoy something, gosh, I just dropped them off at their mom's for the next 4 days. So it's like talking about my kids. Yeah. When they really love or are enjoying something that I am giving to them or providing them, they don't say thank you. Mm. They want more. Mm-hmm. And they will express that in a million different ways. The only reason they say thank you is because they've been trained to do that. I've taught them. I'm complicit in that training. But thank you that is gratitude that has been colonized, I think. Gratitude is archetypal. It springs up, and it looks oftentimes more like a desire for more of that goodness rather than a thank you, which actually is how I was taught to imagine it, is thank you as a way of cutting it off. Mm-hmm. I say thank you, that means I'm done. Mm-hmm. But gratitude, thank you, more please, becomes like, that good thing, I can actually create more expansive capacity to receive more and more of it, and there isn't an end to that.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're willing to share like results, because I could talk all day long. The work that I do is all word of mouth. I've been running my business for 7 years, word of mouth alone, and I love it. I love it when someone's just like, I don't know, I talked to Chris, he says, I need to work with you, so here I am. That's my favorite when people do that. And people love results. So if you want to share what the results went from to $600 felt so far away to what you've been able to create since our breakthrough, because I remember you can share as much as you want, obviously. Yeah, no, this conversation.
To me, okay, let me just give you the trajectory. The trajectory is that best case scenario, every month I was bringing in about $2,500 a month. I am now on the cusp of my third 5-figure month. Like, and I mean, yes. And like you have been with me every step of that journey to see, like, the first time it happened, it felt like getting struck by like good lightning. You know, It was like, oh, I mean, I had manifested through a work with Mary Lou Rodriguez. Yeah. And so like in a workshop she did, it was like, okay, imagine your bank account with the number that you want to have in there. And it was 10K. And it was like a couple months later, I had 10K and I saw that. That was like, what? Then the next month it was about to happen. And I started freaking out because it wasn't coming. It was like promised, and it was something that was on its way, but it wasn't, in my perception, concrete. And I just kept like getting really anxious. And then I felt like this month, it's like, oh, it's on its way, and like it's already here, and I can live. That's the big difference. Is it's all a relational frequency. I mean, that's a big lesson here. Is for me, it is that my relationship with money is mostly about my relationship with myself and my nervous system, and just being able to be me in the midst of the circulation of money when it's like on its way but hasn't arrived yet. And so the results, I mean, I made $11,000 2 months ago, $11,000 last month, a little over. And then I'm already at I didn't say this to you because it's 8,600 that's coming. I'm already at 9,000 for the month, like just in other things.
And it's just the 10th. So it's like
it's
a
just
third
the 10th
of the month.
It's funny because I hit 9,000 yesterday on 999. Like it's all, yeah. And what I would even, again, like money is the evangelical mind says, it's an outward sign of an inward grace. That's baptism or something. And I think the money is this outward sign of an inward transformation, and yet it's also part of the inward transformation, because I had resigned to the fact that money was, I told people this often, money was not something I was going to work on in this lifetime. Mm-hmm. It wasn't for me. And now it is something that's not only for me, but I'm like dancing with it, Let me share this too, that you mentioned people find their way to you who've experienced sexual trauma. And that thought, in our breakthrough session together, that thought had come across my mind throughout the years, but I'd not given it a lot of consideration because I was just so cut off from my sexuality. I mean, that's the new frontier to some degree of like my own work. But the stepping into the sexuality piece in our breakthrough session unlocked embodied memories I couldn't bring up consciously, but something was in my body. And just to kind of like paint the picture, something was rising up inside of me, some kind of what is it, the Dementor from Harry Potter kind of vibe, yeah. And there was this resonance that you had with that's what you were experiencing in me, and I was experiencing that too. And so as that came up, like the release work you did around that, let me just say it was not high emotion. It just was visceral. Mm-hmm. I felt it in my body. I felt the release, and then I continued to feel the release as I stepped further into it. Yes. And I then like started a conversation with my mom about like, hey, do you remember anything that could have happened to me in terms of like sexual abuse and all this? And there were a few things that resonated, but what I discovered, and I just had never heard this story. I knew that I had had a hernia surgery when I was like a kid. Mm. I knew I had been, I was around 5. Yeah. My mom let me know that, you had basically a botched circumcision when you were born, and it, I would have no reason to believe that's the case now. It was, but when I was 5, I also had a hernia that was the result of a testicle that had not descended. And so like, The surgery was at 5. I was in kindergarten. At 5 years old, I had to have not only this testicular hernia fixed, but the surgeon also like fixed the circumcision that had been botched when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so it unlocked all this embodied wisdom, or this like baggage to some degree of, okay, if I was 5.5, this would have been like Christmas break of my kindergarten year.
Yeah.
I would have gone through the rest of that year with like some significant wounding down there, that then, like, being in the South, it absolutely would have been the women in my family that would have tended to me. They would have been the ones that had to care for me throughout that process. And as any human, when you look at, you're like, if my kids have a wound on their knee and I'm having to dress it over and over again, like the first few times my face may unconsciously like furrow and be like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you a specific memory. All I can tell you is that kind of look of disgust and disdain is the inner feeling and judgment I've had towards my own sexuality my whole life. So experiencing like the release work and then the awareness of what possibly happened in my body has helped me to see, oh my gosh, like that's the belief that got installed. That's the one I've been working with. And it's not even a belief. It's the ground I've been standing on. It's the air I've been breathing. And I now can choose something different. But before, I had no idea I could choose anything else.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that so vulnerably. Obviously,
yeah.
Everything that we do is confidential. For you to share that is so powerful. But that was such a big breakthrough for you. That was massive to acknowledge that your body knew. It's the body keeps the score, right? It knows exactly what you've been through, even if you haven't consciously been able to tend to that wound. And so one of the things that you so beautifully did in that space is you created the space for it to come to the surface. And we can only heal that which we look at, right? If you just have a cut that's like festering, it's not going to, your body will do as much as it can with the wisdom. It'll wrap it around. Cancer, tumors are wrapping the disease. There are people in third world countries that live with massive tumors, and because the body did what it needed to do. Just like your unconscious mind did what it needed to do with that wound. It says, I'm going to just stuff this real deep down inside, but one day we're going to be able to actually remove that. And that's the gift of the work that we get to do together, is you don't know what you don't know, but your body knows. Your body has the wisdom, and it goes, hey, we need to look at this thing. And when we heal, when we go through the darkness, this is because there's no way out. You got to go through. When we go through the wounding and we find ourselves on the other side, there's just this energetic atomic burst from the inside, and your life is never the same.
Yeah. I mean, it quite literally. I feel like I am not in just a poetic sense, but I feel like I'm healing the past and the future, like in this embodied experience. I come from a family of sexual trauma. I come from a family of financial trauma. I also discovered in our work together that, my parents filed for bankruptcy within the first year I was born, which I think about that as a parent now, I'm like, Jesus, my kids probably feel a little bit traumatized when I feel close to my comfort zone on my bank account. Like, I can't imagine being in a situation where bankruptcy is the atmosphere, and like how that would have gotten into my body. And I think the wisdom of how you, like the experience that you have, there's so much wisdom in that. It doesn't matter what you think happened. Like, if you feel it, I remember this, like, in our work together, I said something like, I feel like there's something, but I don't know. I don't have any memory. And you're like, well, it has really nothing to do with the memory you have. It is like, if you feel it, it just is. Like there's something there we don't know what it is exactly yet, although I'm sure you've had clients where you're able to like, we're pinpointing this, but for me it was this general thing that then I had to pull up into the specifics of how it's impacting my life now. And that's when it became movable and mutable to transform into something like far more abundant. Because now like I get to experience this life. Like I get to experience sexuality authentically. I get to experience love and romance from a place of wholeness. And I don't have to just keep wishing that it would happen. I get to step into it.
Well, yeah. The unconscious mind wants to keep you alive, but it also your unconscious mind wants to keep you alive, and your higher self wants you in perfect health. And they are seeking each other. What you wants you, right? They're seeking each other. And what I aim to do always is create the safe space for your unconscious mind to let it go. And when you command your unconscious mind to let it go, that's the first, that is the opening that we need to release it, to energetically, surgically remove it.
Yeah, man. Well, Lisset, I just can't speak highly enough of your work. I know you have, you've got a Huna workshop coming up next month, and it is filled to the brim.
It is sold out. I'm pretty
sold out.
Thank you, Mike. Actually,
yeah.
I get to thank you because you definitely have sent so many people my way. My next one's in February.
What are the dates on that?
February 21st and 22nd.
Okay. In Portland.
Pretty sure. In Portland.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll be having that. That'll be live by the time this episode goes up, because I have to take down the sold out one and put the next one.
We'll have the link in the show notes too.
Absolutely. And if, someone just wants to get a feel for my work, I have free hypnosis tracks on my website, lissetking.com. You could explore, start to dive into some hypnosis. And I still do a free consultation. So if anyone just wants to talk and have a conversation and see if this work is for them, we can riff for 45 minutes. And at the very least, I always say, if I'm not the person to help you, I can guide you in the right direction. Whether that's going to a class or working with a different practitioner. We this, Mike, we have a network of practitioners that we're beautifully tied into. We'll get some clarity on that call, like either way. So it's just an absolute honor to be on your podcast and to talk about what it's like to speak to your results. It makes me emotional. Like I know, and it's just the beginning. This is the first 6 months, man. You ain't seen nothing yet.
I truly, I have written 2 months in a row. August is a 20K month, and then this month, September, is a 20K month. And it's so interesting because, my kids see that, and Bina, who's 10, is like, did you make 20K? Did you make $20,000? And, it's, the span of time that I'm manifesting that in is a bit of a construct. And yet, like, it's, yes, it's here. It's like, it's here. If you want to just shift the month by a little bit, like, actually, technically, yeah. If September or August is, we can shift it by 2 weeks. Yeah, there was a 20K span of time. And the reality is it's playful. You kept saying to me multiple times, like, hey, like, I want you to have more fun with this. And I did not know what you meant there either for a while. Like, I think at one point you said, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, because it was like a mother saying, I've told you like 15 times. Like, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. You need to have more fun. And I was like, but it's money. It's not fun. It's serious. And I'm starting to get that it's playful, that it's a dance, that it's not I don't have to hammer this. I get to play with it and dance with it. And it's relational. It's just, like, my kids feel connected to me when I play with them. Why, if money is money, my parent? Because if so, like, then I'm probably going to be serious. But, like, what if money was just a really good friend, or similar to this kind of childlike connection that just wants to connect with you if you want to connect with it?
Yeah. Money's like, I just like to think of, like, money's like, yo, what are we doing this month? like it's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, oh, well, we're going to go to a sexual fantasy workshop in Austin, and then we're going to be home for like a week. And then we're going to go to Hawaii and you're going to teach magic. That's what we're going to do with your money this month. And I'm like, yes. And then, I like to go to these retreats and just play. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not actively working. Let's see if we could bring in 15K while I'm not even working actually. Yep. And I'll just do that. And I got to do that while I was I was at a training called Trainers Training in August. And I worked 2 days that month, because that's the schedule I like. I've designed my life to work 2 days a month. And I was still able to hit the number that I wanted. And like literally money was coming in. There was a point where I was like not feeling well and money was coming in every single day. And I'm just like, I love that I designed it this way. Yeah. How fun.
And if you hadn't done that release work and you were still making that money, the way that you would believe about that experience would be entirely different, right? Like you could be making that money and still be in an absolute state of scarcity.
Yes.
Right? Like it's not just that money's coming in, but it's that you have the capacity to receive it and enjoy it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Scarcity in and of itself, like if there's a disease of the mind, it's scarcity. We think that there's not enough, so we hoard, and it's like, we talk about this in the unconscious mind. One of its functions is to always want more. And so people get really mad at capitalism. It's like, how much money do they want? And I understand how your unconscious mind works. I'm like, they want all of it. But that's like, it's the same disease. In a different realm, your unconscious mind's always going to want more, but can you have that in balance? Like, I want to explore more life. I want to live it to the fullest. I've lived a lot of torture and suffering. I'm like, I'm full. My cup is full on that. I want to see what the other stuff's about. I want to be in the abundance, the exploration. How many people can I turn on to their own lives? That's the more I'm seeking. That's the more I'm playing with.
So good. Well, thank you so much, Lisset, for being here. And I'm going to put all of your information, links for everything, including we've referenced the Mastery Morning. So if you are someone who is an entrepreneur, healer, creative that is looking for connection, support, like there's a Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, like let's go, like find that connection. You can't do this on your own. You can try, but like, why do it on your own? So I'll put all that in the show notes. Is there anything you want to say as we wrap up that just kind of you're dying to say that you want to make sure you put out there before we stop recording?
I've heard it said a billion ways. And, one of the simplest ways to like changing your life is an inside job, period. You've got to do the work internally. You've got to do the work of your mind, of healing your soul, of healing, of doing your own work. And when you find the ways that you can do your own work, this is your work, shadow work, my work. These are all ways to the light. There are infinite ways to the light. And I just want everyone to know that you can change your life, and it starts in your mind. It starts in your mind. And so if you have nothing else from this conversation, may you have the hope and the knowing that it's possible, because Mike and I have both done it, and we are having incredible results.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a meme. I think there's a memification of that idea. So I just want to name that, because that's often the defense. It's like, well, that just sounds really, but it is if you just think that means that you can just think your positive thoughts into something. Like, no, we're talking about the deepest inner work that you could do that doesn't have to be that emotional. I had a client recently who was like, oh, like it's not, that release wasn't emotional. It's like, yeah, because you don't have to be hooked up to a system that keeps you in a problem. Like you can release that and now move into action on your life. Like it is both the deepest inner work, but it's incarnating that and taking inspired action to now then create from a place of enough and abundance. Like it's not complex. It's actually quite simple. It's just an ongoing process of focusing your energy into the life you want.
100%. Yeah, it's not a one and done, but man, we get a lot of work done in one sitting. We could do lifetimes of work in one sitting. We can release generational baggage. We could release past life baggage, and it's you're done when you're dead. So, but you got to start somewhere, and it is like change is so possible. And I've seen it time and time and time again. Like when I got introduced to this work, it was the first time someone showed me that it's possible to change. Not just like, oh, okay, white knuckle your way through your life, fucking thinking your way into the future. That's not how it works. You've got to want it, but you also have to release the baggage. You must release the baggage. That's step one for change, is releasing the baggage. And then we got to create a compelling future. Step two. Step three is we have to take action, inspired action, not any action. Right. And you've got to focus, and you've got to rinse and repeat all four of those ad nauseum till the day you die.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, and that's where you need guidance. I mean, I'll just say this as a plug for you and for me, is like to do that work. If you try to white knuckle your way through the focus portion of that and the action focus portion, like, Jesus, I don't know. Like, it wouldn't have been possible without your support. And I have so many clients who would not be where they're at without my support. Like, you have to have guidance. We have our social networks. This individualism is a bit limiting. We've not existed that way as humans. We've always had elders, guides, shamans, people in the forest that you wander into their hut and they transform you for the better or for the worse. Like, you need that kind of energy in order to truly move through this. So if anyone's interested, like, that is for you. That self-investment, you're paying for it, as Goddess Brittany said in the last episode. You're paying for it with your soul. Like, you're paying for it one way or the other. Like, why not pay for it consciously in a way that allows you to live your life more authentically and more whole?
Absolutely. I've never regretted $1 I've invested in myself. Never. And you it's paid back. The investment you made, fucking so can't even. And we're just, like I said, we're just getting started. So it is, the change is possible. Know it, believe it, and seek support.
Thank you, Lisset. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Okay. My honor. Love you.
Talk soon. Bye. Love you too.
Hi, Michael here. Hey, seriously, thank you for listening and engaging the Shadow Mike podcast and YouTube channel. I trust today's episode gave you something to reflect on or illuminated a new trailhead to your hidden life. If this episode resonated with you, you can subscribe, leave a comment or review, and share it with your people. This really helps spread the word and boosts our digital presence. Remember, growth isn't a straight line, and we're all figuring it out as we go. I'm grateful to be in this unfolding and excavating work with you. Until next time, be yourself. You've got a good self. And remember, it is all a gift.